Hi everyone, I hope you've been enjoying the course so far. And in this part I'm going to teach you how to do the symbolic calculations, and this time on variables. Okay, so let me clear everything, and also let me get rid of these things. It's just been a while. And we'll learn how to define the symbolic, right? So if I say symbolic 1 over half, 1 over 2, which is the half, now the value is calculated as a fraction, not numerically. But what if I need to do this with variables? I want the variables to be calculated like x cubed, and x is a symbolic. There are two ways to do that in MathLAB. The first one is through a function x equals sim, open parentheses, and as you do so, you will notice that the MathLAB helps you to complete it. So the first item that I'm going to use, it is single quotation, the variable, and close quotation, close parentheses. I'm going to do that. I will do single quotation, x, single quotation, and close it. When I do that, you will notice that it's now x equals x, which is normal. However, that x is now in symbolic format. Therefore, if I pass x equals symbolic for 9th, so I define a variable symbolically, and I'm going to put it there inside x. If I hit enter, you'll notice that x now is 4 over 9 symbolically, and x is still symbolic. If I say x squared, it will give me the result in symbolic format, and x is still symbolic. How about x cubed? The same thing. So from now on, if whatever I put inside x symbolically, it's going to be treated symbolically as a variable. The second way to define that is through sims and x. So let me use another one, y. The first item that we learned is sims. That the first way was, let me write it again. X equals sim x and this one. This is the first way that we can define a symbolic variable inside MathLAB. And the other part is sims x, which is y. I'm going to use a different one here. So if I say sims y, and the second one is also defined as a symbolic variable. And please notice that here, without parentheses, there is an s here, and you can actually create multiple symbolic variables in one line. If I say sims a, b, c, d, e, with one space each, some variables at the same time are created for me, and it's going to be very, very handy and useful. For example, if I use a name, let's say John, let me clear things. If I use a name called John equals symbolic John, and from now on, the John is a variable which is symbolic, and it's going to be used in programming as a symbolic one. There is something very important in this part, and it is when you define a variable, let's say sims y, and you want to store a variable, a value inside this y, which is now symbolic, you must be very careful not to do this mistake that I'm going to show you. If I say y equals 54 and hit enter, you will notice that y is no longer in symbolic. But you might ask, here we had defined it as a symbolic. Yes, but in next line, you again change that. So the correct way to do that is sims y, which is makes it again symbolic, and then y equals symbolic y. Now you will notice that y is calculated as a symbolic, and it is maintained as a symbolic format.